Hello, welcome. This is a little bit of a shorter video. I wanted to go over something that I've been wanting to go over for a while, and I've gotten a few comments, questions about recently, and I wanted to do it anyway, so we're going to cover it. I don't know exactly what I'm going to name this video yet. It's going to be something about a list of productivity systems, perhaps some you've never heard of, which is true. Some of these you've definitely heard of. Some of these are very basic. I'm just going to describe the way that I use them, but other ones you've probably never heard of because for some reason, I've seen every single productivity master on the market. Okay, I've seen videos from Ali Abdaal, I've seen videos from Thomas Frank, I've seen videos from Chris D'Elia, or whatever the fuck his name is. They don't cover this for some reason. And I don't know why. Maybe it's just because this is such a specific me thing, but I feel like this could apply to a lot of people and help a lot of people. So we're going to start with that one. We're going to start with the stockpile. So the stockpile method, I've written a blog post about this before, but I know we're past the age of reading. We're in the age of video content. So I want to make a video covering it as well. Basically, the way that this works, you get a database, all right? You get a database of, you can call them bookmarks. So if you save a website, you see an article, you're like, oh, I might want to read this later. You save, I notice it's becoming an art-centered channel, so you can say reference images, or courses or tutorials, episodes of a course, or any sort of unit like that. You save it to this database. So I have my database here. This is the stockpile. I just call it stockpile because it's a stockpile of stuff. It's a big list of stuff. Do I even want to know how many items I have in here? Let's find out. So across my entire stockpile, across everything, in case you're wondering whether or not I'm serious when I say save everything, it is 143,000 items. I'm pretty sure this is probably the biggest database in all of Notion. Notion engineering is probably pissed at me. What you then want to do is you want to tag it into your different, what you're working on, or what are your main focuses. So for example, my main focuses are art, coding, design, language learning, particularly Japanese and Chinese. I do quote unquote job stuff. I'll cover that in a second. Fiction writing, music production, etc., etc. A lot of the stuff that you see on the channel, these are my main priorities in life right now. And a couple of extra ones like photography and animation, I just put them all in here. So I tag them, I put something into the database, I tag it, and then when I'm ready to work on, let's say I'm ready to do a session on art, right? If I'm ready to do art, if I'm ready to do art practice, what I will do is I will go to the art page, and this is where the magic happens. Because not only is everything tagged, it's also randomized using this formula. I also use this random system for Readwise. So Readwise is a built-in randomizer for when I'm reading books. I'll just grab a book at random. So if I'm doing a reading session, if I'm reading, I'll go in, I'll just click the first book and I'll just read that first book. Same with this, like I was talking about with the art stuff, just go down this list of art references and do the drills that way. And the reason why this is so helpful is because it spices things up. It keeps stuff new. Let's say, and I'm going to steal, there was a YouTube comment asking about the stockpile. I'm going to steal his use case. They have a list of reference books. And the way that they've been doing it is that they've been going through the reference books page by page by page. Let's say you have, I'm sorry to shit on animals so much in this YouTube channel. Let's say you had a reference book on like the animals of North America, and you just flip through page after page. The next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, all you're going to be doing is drawing animals. It's going to get really boring. Trust me. Animals in North America specifically. But if you use a stockpile, let's say you have 3 different reference books. You have one reference book of, I don't know, anime art, one reference book of the North American animals, and then one reference book of, I don't know, Loomis or something. And you take the scans, you take the images from all those books, and then you randomize them. Well, the first thing you draw might be North American animal, but the next thing might be from Loomis, then anime, then Loomis, then North American animal, then North American animal. It spices things up. It keeps things interesting. And that's really important for me in order to, because I lose focus very quickly, as you probably know, watching any video on this channel. I lose focus very quickly, and this randomization feature helps me to not do that. So I hope that describes a stockpile. Like I said, if that description was inadequate, I do have a blog post, and in writing, I am able to explain ideas a lot better than in video format. So that's the first one. The next couple are not very surprising. I mostly want to talk about the stockpile, but I'll cover all of my bases here. I like using deadlines. So the thing about the stockpile system is that it only works for individual units, like I was talking about. If you're doing reference drills, an individual reference, doing an hour where the order of the references don't matter, they're very small things that you can get done in like 15 minutes, that sort of stuff. That's great for stockpile. If you're trying to do a portfolio project, if you're trying to do, let's say, a blog post, writing a blog post, or making a YouTube video, where it takes a lot more dedicated time, it's not gonna work for the stockpile. You have to have that in a separate category, which is what I do here, where every week I have a deadline where for these big projects, so for example, writing, doing a coding project, doing design, I have a weekly deadline on Saturday to get these done. You know, I still add everything to the stockpile. You'll notice it's still in the stockpile database. So all this stuff is in the stockpile. It's just if I recognize this is going to take a long time to do, I tag it as a project, and then it goes into the separate projects folder for those bigger, heftier projects. And then this is also randomized. So I don't really have to explain a deadline to you, right? That you just finish a project by X dates. That seems pretty simple. I think you understand that. So I think we can move on from deadlines. That's just to explain how I would handle heftier projects. Also, for projects that take more than a week, for example, game development projects, for those ones, I just try to do a little bit each week, like get something down on paper. I like to call it the minimum viable solution for that. So here's an example of what I mean by like the minimum viable solution for a very long running project. I'm currently working on an idle game called Wars of the Seven Kingdoms in Godot. And the way that this works is that week by week, I'm just trying to get something of import done. Right, so for this, it was like listing out the events that we want in the idle game. The next week was building a prototype that sort of kind of works. The next week was getting the randomization done. So because I'm working on a bunch of different stuff at once, I can't dedicate like all of my time to Wars of the Seven Kingdoms unless it starts making me like a bunch of money, and I might as well do just that. But for right now, I'm working on so many different things, as you can tell. And so because of that, I only have X amount of time to work on this, and the way that I make sure that I am continuously making progress while also, you know, understanding that I have a bunch of other stuff on my plate is to do this minimum viable week by week, just get something down on paper that you can publish and not be like, wow, I really just did not do anything, right? Because you have to, it's something that you are okay with publishing to the world as a weekly update. I want to leave you, well, actually, maybe I'll do that as a separate video, because it is marked as a separate video. It was supposed to be in this video, but it's marked as a separate video, and if I can cheese it, I will. So I'm going to leave you off on a cliffhanger here, actually. I was going to cover one more thing, but you won't know unless you subscribe to the channel. You have to subscribe to the channel to find out what I'm going to do next. Got him. Next week is going to be art. We're going to be going back to art like I promised in the last art video. We're going to be redoing those AI art images and doing them in original art style. I don't really know how you, like, I draw the goddamn thing. I don't know how you would describe that.